Notepad. Okay. There it is. All right, we're going to start this city council meeting to order. I'm going to ask the city clerk to give the roll call. Madam City Clerk.
Okay, good evening. Mayor Pro Tem Kearney, Councilmember Cuevas,
Present.
Councilmember Suarez,
Present.
Councilmember Talavera, Mayor Poland Miles.
Here.
All members are present except for Mayor Pro Tem Kearney at this time.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is our ceremonial portion. I'm going to ask Council Member Frank Talavera to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by Pastor Matthew Harbison.
Please rise, remove your hat if you have a hat on. Let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready to begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, we offer this opportunity for us to say thank you. We are here to honor awesome people, and we ask that we would just be able to take the time to celebrate them. We're also here to conduct business, and we ask that we would be mindful, that we would be democratic, and that we would be appreciative that we are in a country that allows us to do so. Thank you for the privileges that we have and the gifts, and I ask that you would bless the individuals who are making decisions, but also for the people who are here listening, watching, and that they might be able to participate in democracy. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Let's have our public safety report. Let's hear from our captain, Captain Nicole Palomino.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, esteemed members of the City Council, and members of the community. I'm Nicole Palomino, the captain of South Los Angeles Station, and I will be presenting the public safety report for October 6th through today, October 20th. And I will begin by discussing our notable arrests and investigations. So on October 11th at approximately 7:30 a.m., Lawndale deputies responded to the Harold Hoffman Community Center regarding a burglary that just occurred call for service and discovered a speaker was stolen from inside. The deputies obtained surveillance video and authored a crime report. Then on October 14th at approximately 10:30 a.m., deputies responded back to the Harold Hoffman Community Center after an informant saw the burglary suspect at the location. He was positively identified and arrested for felony commercial burglary, and he was not a resident of Lawndale. And then on October 16th, at approximately 12 a.m., Deputy Damian Rodriguez conducted a traffic stop at 149th Street and Mansell Avenue for vehicle code violations. He detained the male adult driver for possible weapons violations and recovered a loaded firearm underneath the driver's seat. The suspect was arrested for being a convicted felon in possession of an unregistered firearm, and he also was not a resident of Lawndale. And then regarding our traffic-related incidents, Motorcycle Traffic Enforcement Deputy Morales issued 15 citations during the reporting period for various vehicle code violations, such as failure to stop at a stop sign, failure to stop at a red traffic light, and speeding. And then lastly, I would like to remind everyone that the City of Lawndale will be hosting their annual Halloween haunt on Friday, October 31st from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Lawndale Civic Center Plaza. There will be a costume parade, games, a trick-or-treat trail, a family-friendly haunted maze, and food vendors. This concludes my report, and I would be happy to answer any questions that the council might have.
Thank you for that report. Are there any questions of the captain's report? Thank you, Captain.
Thank you, and I also have our month in review crime stats in the back for the community.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to presentations. 2025 Deputy and Firefighter of the Year Awards. Let's have the staff report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Annually, we acknowledge, the staff report before you is to acknowledge the Deputy and Firefighter of the Year. We do this annually. Today, we've noted the attachment and the request for the Deputy of the Year and the Firefighter of the Year, and I'll leave the rest up to you, Mr. Mayor, to make that announcement. Again, and this concludes staff's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. The City of Lawndale 2025 Deputy of the Year goes to Johnny Cardona. The mission of the Los Angeles County Sheriff Department is to partner with the community to provide proactive crime prevention, law enforcement fairly, and enhance public trust through transparency and accountability. Annually, the Lawndale City Council honors a deputy as selected by the Sheriff Department, which reflects an exemplary that mission of the City of Lawndale for Deputy of the Year. We are pleased to announce that Deputy Johnny Cardani on receiving the 2025 Deputy of the Year Award. Deputy Cardani goal is a positive influence with the community he serves, with his peers and his supporters. That simplifies the mission of the statement of the Los Angeles County Sheriff Department. Madam City Clerk, can you please read the background?
Okay. Raised in Norwalk, a community that helped shape who he is today, Deputy Cardona learned the importance of hard work, honesty, and helping others from his parents, Johnny Cardona and Edith Carcamo. These values have guided him every day. Growing up with an older sister and younger brother taught him about family, teamwork, and looking out for one another. Growing up in a single-parent household, Deputy Cardona saw his mom push through day after day, working a full-time 9-to-5 job to provide for them. He learned from his mom what resilience looks like, and it taught him to stay determined no matter what challenges came his way. As a young kid, early aspirations came from his uncle, who would take him to LAPD events. Those moments planted the seed of his dream to become a law enforcement officer. In 2019, after encouragement from his wife to keep chasing that dream, he applied to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and in November of 2020, he was proud to be hired as a deputy sheriff. Since then, Deputy Cardona has had the chance of serving in different roles, starting at the Men's Central Jail, transferred to the South Los Angeles Sheriff Station in November of 2023, and then receiving a new assignment a year later in November 2024 to the City of Lawndale, where he continues to proudly serve the citizens of Lawndale. Part of the 2025 South Los Angeles Sheriff Station Enforcement Team, Deputy Cardona has stayed focused through it all, earning the respect of his peers by showing up with hard work, professionalism, and leadership every day.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. I'm going to ask Deputy Johnny Cardona to meet us at the podium. We're going to present you with our... And you must be Johnny Cardona. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for being here. And thank you for being our firefighter, our Deputy of the Year, Deputy Johnny Cardona, Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, Lawndale Service Center, South Los Angeles Station serving Lawndale. The City of Lawndale 2025 Deputy of the Year, in recognition of your outstanding commitment to the community, public safety, and the mission of the Los Angeles County Sheriff Department. Congratulations on being selected 2025 Deputy of the Year, presented by the Lawndale City Council in conjunction with the 30,000 members, residents here in the city of Lawndale, and it's signed October 20th by the entire city council. Congratulations. Okay. You're a man of few words, huh? Okay, let's move on to our firefighter of the year. City of Lawndale 2025 Firefighter of the Year, Captain Jason Cameron, Los Angeles County Fire Department. The mission of the Los Angeles County Fire Department is to protect the lives, the environment, the property by providing prompt, skillful, and cost-effective fire protection and life-saving services. Annually, the City of Lawndale honors firefighters as selected by the Los Angeles County Fire Department. We are pleased to congratulate Captain Jason Cameron on receiving the 2025 Firefighter of the Year award and recognizing his exceptional service to the public safety of the community he serves. Madam, please read the background.
Currently living in Seal Beach with his wife of 28 years and their dog Zeus, Fire Captain Jason Cameron began his fire service career in January 1991, hired as a paid call firefighter with the Orange County Fire Department. Graduating in July of 1995 from the South Bay Fire Academy, Captain Cameron began to work as an EMT in 1997 at Long Beach Memorial so that he could accrue hours for acceptance into paramedic school. In 1998, he attended the Paramedic Training Institute, and in June of the same year, began working in Lawndale at Fire Station number 21 as a paramedic trainee. Captain Cameron continued to expand his knowledge and work history by working as an EMT with the Compton Fire Department in November 1998, hired as an auxiliary with the Torrance Fire Department in 1999, hired full-time as a firefighter/paramedic with the Huntington Beach Fire Department in the year 2000, and then hired in July 2001 full-time by the Los Angeles County Fire Department. Reactivated as a paramedic in 2002, promoted to firefighter specialist in 2012, and then promoted to fire captain in 2017. In 2019, Captain Cameron came back to Fire Station number 21 in Lawndale, where he continues to serve to this day. With his two kids, Farah, a real estate agent in Huntington Beach, and his son Vance, a fire suppression aide with the Los Angeles County Fire Department Camp 12, grown and out of the house for a few years, you can find the captain enjoying his days off, playing golf and surfing. When he has more time, he enjoys fishing off his boat in Catalina. In March of 2027, Captain Cameron will be looking forward to his next promotion, retirement.
You was pretending like we wasn't talking about you.
That was a lot of fluff, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot of fluff.
Captain Cameron, I want to present this to you on behalf of the City of Lawndale and our almost 40,000 residents. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Sounds about right.
All right, that sounds about right. Okay. Los Angeles County Fire Department, Kenny Hahn, Station number 21, serving Lawndale. The City of Lawndale 2025 Firefighter of the Year, in recognition of your outstanding commitment to the community, public safety, and the Los Angeles Fire Department. Congratulations on being selected the 2025 Firefighter of the Year, presented by the Lawndale City Council, as well as our 30 to 40,000 residents. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
Should I say dismiss? You guys can stay if you would like, but you're free to roam. Thank you for being here. Okay. Okay, there went half the room. More than half the room. Okay, let's move our agenda. Let's engage in oral communications, item E. Oral communications, we have the opportunity to speak to this body on items that are not on the agenda. If you'd like to do so, we ask you line up by the flag. When it becomes your turn, just simply approach the podium. If you would, start with your name first. At 2.5 minutes, the amber light will come on one of these screens to give you the time to wrap things up. Let's have our first speaker.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members, Dr. Moore. I'd like to say thank you for just giving opportunities for the community to participate. We have a Halloween haunt event coming up, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to staff a booth for our church. And so again, thank you just for giving us chances to be present. I look forward to other opportunities coming along the line. I had a question from a couple of my parishioners, and they asked me to step up. So the first question was, in relation to the structuring of the permit process in the city of Lawndale, is this based on paying the hourly rates and things to accommodate why things are, or is the city making money off of this? For example, a permit's needed to change an electrical fixture in the house. So if your light goes out, you need to pay a permit to have that fixed. And I understand the purpose of that so that who's ever putting it in is not putting in something that's going to damage the house later. But how much does that really cost to come and investigate? And so there was a question from them in relation to how many dollars actually goes into the city, how many dollars are actually paying the people, and what does that actually cover? So that was just a question that I was asked to bring up. And I also wanted to just say thank you, City Clerk Office. I came by and needed to do some things, and you provided me the information. So thank you for your people being available.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Councils. This is Holly Osborne from Redondo Beach, and last 2 times I've come up, I've waved charts, but I haven't given you my speech. So this is sort of after the fact. Well, if you hear it 2 times, you'll remember it, but please grab a pen, because whoever enlarged these did such a good job that they're so big that something got left off. But anyway, I want to talk about 2 things. The first was in relation, actually has to do with that expert you had got from BNSF, because he told me something was out of spec, but there were actually 2 things that were out of spec, and I never got a chance to tell you about one of them, okay? This train is 25 feet from these houses, okay? If you move it, and I don't have it here, I looked at the drawings, it's going to be only 25 feet for part of the way. And that is a violation of BNSF specs. And I said, so what would you have to do? And he said, move the wall, okay? Now, this is the drawing that you have right here. You can see 20 feet. This is the freight track. It got cut off, but this is the new freight track where it would be moved to. Oh, there's the timer. Okay, so, and of course, and eventually at Artesia, it slides back up. But for quite a few of these houses, you've got only 20 feet. And he said you would have to move the wall. Now, of course, Metro's not going to do that. They're going to do something else. But it just demonstrates that the row is too narrow. And this row is 79 foot here. That part got cut off. But if you look at the next page, you can see it. Okay, now, so get your pens out and write that down. Now, the next thing is, last time I showed you this, said 75 foot, oh, they made a big jog, and it's now 81. And I said, but they filled it in. And I wasn't really clear what I meant. But if you look at the second figure, you can see the 75-foot row, and then you see this big hash mark further down, past 171st, with a red circle around it, a red oval. That was where the 81 feet was. Well, now they call it 75 feet, plus an easement. They're going to take that land with an easement for construction. okay? I call that metro math. Metro, take with one hand and, take it away with the other hand too. So that's what this is, metro math. And again, it's 75 foot here, we got it nice. And over here, if I'd had, well, it's still 75 feet, but this extra stuff would make it the 81 that they were claiming in their original drawings. Okay, I hope you wrote that down. There'll be a quiz next time.
I certainly hope not.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good evening,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor and City Council. I'm Annette, and I just wanted to show some good news, and that is that at Hermosa Beach, at their City Council meeting last week, decided to write a letter in support of Hawthorne Boulevard rather than the Row. And one of the speakers was a Redondo Beach commissioner in, I guess, planning commissioner is what he said. And I just wanted to see if I could play his comment. This may not work. If it doesn't, I apologize.
Option poses serious health and safety risks to thousands of nearby residents. If constructed, more than 220 trains would operate daily, approximately 20 hours per day, creating continuous noise, vibration, and air quality concerns. Additionally, at least 7, not 1, but 7 underground fuel and oil pipelines are likely beneath this corridor. A derailment here would have catastrophic consequences. If you want to know how bad it could be, think about what happened in San Bernardino, I think it was in 1989, to the Duffy Street. That was a huge nightmare. A giant fireball destroyed a neighborhood over there. And one thing you should know too on the EIR, it can't find any example where a metro line like this has ever been run on top of 7 pipelines. The Duffy Street one was only 1. I think 7. It's a major problem. Construction impacts. Building along the right-of-way would subject nearby residents, many of them seniors, to 6 or more years of 24/7 trenching, excavation, and construction within mere yards of their homes. That's according to the IR report. Ridership and transit goals. The goal of this project is to maximize public transit use. This is billions of dollars we're going to be spending on this thing. Ridership projections are definitely far higher for the Hawthorne Boulevard route, which would better serve business corridors, commuters, and regional connectivity. Building along the right-of-way would undermine those objectives while inflicting unnecessary harm on neighborhoods. Now, I come to you here tonight, just like I did a couple years ago. We have a shared history of support. Years ago, when Measure O appeared on the ballot in Hermosa Beach, many Redondo Beach residents, including myself, stood with you in opposition. Today, we just ask you to extend that same spirit of regional cooperation by supporting your neighbors and urging Metro to pursue the Hawthorne Boulevard alignment. Please stand with us to ensure the transportation progress does not come at the expense of community safety and quality of life. And one other thing I can mention too, one of the speakers earlier said something about they were on a committee. Well, I serve on the planning commission at Redondo Beach. I'm actually the chair of it right now. I'm speaking to you as an individual, but I can tell you one thing. If this project came in front of our planning commission, we would never approve it.
They would never approve it. And other folks who were at the Hermosa meeting also said the same thing.
Thank you. Okay, that looks like that's all that's wanted to speak tonight on the oral communications. We'll bring it up to diocese for any comments from the council members. Let's hear from Council Member Televere.
Okay. Good evening. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for taking time out and coming to the meeting. We appreciate the time taken. We know that everyone is busy and may have other things to do, but we acknowledge that you recognize it as something important for the city of Lawndale, so I want to thank you for being here today. Matt, thank you for bringing that awareness to us, and I just hope that other organizations in our community will also take advantage. And through your example, this will be something to motivate them and inspire them. So, and regarding the permit process fees, I think our city manager probably could answer that question. So thank you. Dr. Osborne, as always, thank you for giving us the information, keeping us in the know and the things that we have to do. And Annette and Also for Chelsea that's not here, thank you for all the work that you do, and it's just amazing. So just keep it up, and we'll be with you every step of the way. So thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll try to answer the question. Be brief. So there's two different types of our planning department. We have a deposit base. It's based on the hourly rate of staff. It's based on all of the costs are incorporated into that permit. Recently, the council, with their leadership and direction, have lowered that deposit. We were at $2,500 or $2,400. Now we're down to $1,400, I believe. But it's a deposit base. It's based on the hourly rate towards the project. A lot of times people are entitled to a refund if they, let's say they submit a site plan, they go through the process, there's no issues, it goes right through the process. With regards to the Building and Safety Department, it's a separate, we contract with the County of Los Angeles, Building and Safety Department, Public Works Division, or Public Works Department, and those permits are based on what the calculates, the CPI, Consumer Price Index, as well as our cost for administering the contract with the County of Los Angeles, and the fee, what it costs to administer, to do inspections, plan checks, all of that is all calculated, and the valuation of the buildings or the permits are all calculated. So they're not for profit, the fees, they're returned on the planning side back to the customer if there's a deposit left over, and then with the building permit fees, those are used to operate our Building and Safety Department, which is 100% billed directly from permits. No direct costs are impacted to the city of Lawndale.
You good? Councilman Taylor, are you okay? Yes. Okay. Councilwoman Suarez.
Good evening. I'd like to thank everybody that came out tonight, echo the same comments and sentiments, and also for those of you watching online that can't make it, and for those of you that will be watching it later. The only thing I want to add is I think it's 1,700. I tried to ask our chat bot, but it still has the old amount, so I think we need to feed it more info, but I think
Okay, we'll take care of that right away.
Okay.
Thank you.
And with that, I'll pass it along. Thank you.
Councilwoman Cuevas.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out and speaking, and those who are watching, thank you for watching us, and I have nothing to say right now. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone who spoke tonight, and those who are in the audience, and those who are watching on TV. Dr. Osborne, thank you for the update on the Metro Math. That's a new term you just coined, Metro Math, because it don't add up. And we seen that all along. But thank you. And Ms. Owens, thank you for playing that Hermosa Beach council member, because that tells us that they're in favor, at least he's in favor of the Hawthorne Boulevard option as opposed to the Condon option. So thank you for that. With that, that's all I have. So we'll move our agenda. We're now on the consent calendar, item G. What is the pleasure of this body?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, the motion's been made by Cuevas, seconded by Suarez. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, would the council please vote?
Sorry. For the consent calendar, the motion passes unanimously with Mayor Pro Tem Kearney absent.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. The next item on the agenda is the quarterly investment report. Let's have a staff report.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. So this is the quarterly investment report for fiscal Q1, which runs from July through September 2025. At September 30, the city had $59,475,195 plus another $2,058,381 and $1,150 in petty cash and $799,525 in the two retirement PARS accounts. A little bit about the economy. Recently, in the September meeting, the Fed Reserve did cut interest rates by 25 basis points. That's the first one since December 24, so almost a year since. We have 2 more meetings for this year. There's one coming up October 29 and one more in December 10th. Both of them have a very high probability, about 98, 99%, that there will be another 25 basis point cuts for each. So another 50 basis points total by the end of the year is what's expected. Kind of what that means for the city, based off of that, any new investments, obviously will have lower returns on them. The banks are offering lower rates on their CDs. Bond rates have also dropped. So there will be an impact there. It'll be a little bit, but we'll see, because we have tried to purchase more longer term and lock in the rates that we can for right now. Also, you can see that LAIF has dropped to 4.2%, down from 4.5 from a year ago. And then as far as the investments we have, the city we have a majority of cash in LAIF and the city's checking. As of September 30, we're still very liquid with 77.6% in on-demand deposit accounts, 6.9% in short-term, which is 1 year or less, 5.8 in mid-term, which is 1 to 3 years, and then 9.6 in longer-term, 3 to 5 years. So we have been adding more to the long-term investments. We've been focusing on that more to, just be able to lock in the rates that are available right now for a longer period of time. And then for the quarter, the city received $452,400 of interest. Our main focus is on safety, liquidity, and maintaining a healthy balance while maximizing returns. And so far, we're doing okay. We look at it very closely. So none of the volatility has really affected our city and the cash and the investment side of it. That concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, are there any questions of this report?
I do. Is
Yes,
there
ma'am.
any way that you could give us in the next meeting or a meeting after that, which ones are the short term that are going to be coming to date?
So do you want to see like a list
Like
of the ones that are
maturity.
coming up for maturity? Yeah, I can provide that. It's no problem. Yeah.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll receive and file this report unless there's some objections to it. Okay, thank you for that report. Okay, let's move on to item 7. Approval of budget for a community service officer.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and distinguished members of the City Council. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you this evening. The staff report you have before you is for the request for the approval of budget for a community service officer position. As the council is well aware, the city has partnered with LASD for a number of years, going on 2 decades now. We have a very strong relationship with LASD, and we've expressed a desire to hire more deputies to supplement the deputies that we currently have. Unfortunately, due to budget constraints, because of hiring slowdowns, LASD does not have any deputies to give us. That's true across the board for all cities. To combat that, what many cities have done, and for quite a while now, is they've had civilian officers known as community service officers who are trained in taking police reports. They can do a lot quicker because they're not handling any other calls. In the past 6 months, the Sarge let me know that we've had approximately 159 non-workable reports that were taken, and averaging 45 minutes to 90 minutes per report. That averages about over 150 hours of time not spent by deputies because they're taking reports that are either non-workable or non-criminal. So by creating this position, we could have a civilian person taking those reports. They'd be a lot quicker, they'd be a lot more adept, and they wouldn't be going to any criminal calls that would otherwise go to deputies. We do anticipate this would have a cost of about $75,000 per year for the employee, plus 18% for their benefits. In addition, there are some one-time costs, including the cost of a vehicle, a mobile digital computer for the vehicle, a portable radio, uniforms, and training. That should be about $60,000 one time only. Staff does recommend that we create this position to supplement our deputies, and I can answer any questions that you have.
Okay, are there any questions of this report before I ask the audience if anyone wants to speak? Cuevas.
Is this individual reporting straight to the sheriff department, or are they reporting to you?
They would be reporting to me. They'd be a city employee, so they'd be reporting to us. They'd be taking county reports and they'd have to be signed off by the sergeant, just like deputies have to have their paperwork signed off as well.
So are they patrolling the
They're handling calls, and they're not armed, and they're not trained in deputy tactics, things like that. They're only trained in report taking. Although some cities have trained their CSOs in fingerprinting, and other cities do allow them to take workable cases like fraud and things like that. So there's a number of uses that we could get out of this officer, and in the downtime they could write parking tickets and assist with animal control as well, as other cities utilize their community service officers to do the same.
So basically, the sheriff gets the call, and we dispatch this person also?
So the way calls are dispatched is any resident will call to report something, the dispatcher will assign it to a deputy, and the deputy will go handle it. Not all calls result in reports, but the CSO would only get calls of certain kind of tags. He would only get petty theft reports. A non-criminal report would be lost property or vehicle accidents, things like that. We wouldn't be tying up a deputy. A deputy could take as long as 90 minutes if he's on a 2-vehicle TC, because he's got to wait for the tow truck to get there, do their thing, and he's got to take all the statements from the drivers and witnesses. So there's no crime in that. It's just an accident, but we do have deputies standing by. So we could train the CSO to do that work. We could have them take lost cell phone reports, things like that there's no follow-up. But we could also train them to do actual workable reports as well. So just like a number of cities do. It would be up to us. But we would be dispatched through dispatch.
Thank you.
Suarez.
I'm sorry if I missed this, but where's the money coming from, the adjustment?
We'd have to take it from the general fund. So we're asking for, there's no budget for this, so we're asking for this salary for a new position.
I have a quick question. Would this community service officer have the power or authority to arrest?
No, not at all. No more than anybody does. I mean, anybody can make an arrest, a citizen's arrest, so all of our staff can do that, all the council can do that, but we won't want him doing anything like that. He's not going to be going to any calls that are going to involve any kind of things where there's actual an active criminal event happening. So if there's a bar fight or if there's a domestic disturbance, things like that, the CSO is not going to be dispatched to those. Those will be handled by deputies still. But we'll free up the deputies to not be taking reports that might otherwise just go nowhere.
So what happens in the case where someone calls in and they report, or they report what they think is going on, and this officer shows up and determines that a crime has been committed or probably been committed? What do they do in that case?
So part of the equipment that the CSO would have, it would be a police radio with an emergency trigger on there, so he could notify dispatch right away, and he would clear out. And the same way our staff would do. If something turns violent or something turns aggressive, we just leave the scene. So, but he would actually have the ability to call police and tell them what's happening immediately, because he'll have a police radio, and he'll be trained on how to use it. He'll be trained on the codes. There's a number of cities that already incorporate CSOs. Cerritos, Norwalk, Lakewood, they all have CSO programs that are very vast and have multiple officers doing it. So we're just going to be doing some of what they're doing as well.
Got it.
Mayor, Council, I want to add to this. As the council is well aware, we've been to the meetings with Sheriff Luna, and they've mentioned they don't see their way of being able to fill those positions for the next few years, it looks like. So there's a moratorium on our contract. This is just another way, based on the direction from the council, to look for ways to be more efficient and effective. In talking with the sheriffs and they met with the other cities. I guess this program has been in the works for many years in other cities and effective. It helps free up the deputies, the limited deputies that we have. They can do the lower calls for service, which the council's well aware we get complaints about. The sheriffs do a great job, but I consistently screen calls where people say, hey, the sheriffs haven't been out here for my missing cell phone or vandalism. This will take the deputies out of that equation, let a CSO do the report writing, get that out there, and free up the deputies to be out on the street. So we're looking just for other ways to, until we can add to the contract, to bring more deputies in temporarily. This is a great program that other cities have implemented, including Cerritos, Paramount, La Mirada, all the other cities, and Lakewood and Bellflower all have CSO programs.
Okay, thank you for that. Let me ask this question. So the CSO, how would they work with the Southwest Patrol?
They wouldn't have any kind of interaction with them.
They won't have any interaction with them?
No, they're not doing, I mean, they're going to be taking reports, so they're not going to be doing any kind of guard work. They're not their intention is not to do anything like that. It's not a security role. It's really just responding and just taking civilian reports for the deputies. And the reports would still be investigated by a detective. After the initial report is taken, it gets signed off by the sergeant. The sergeant will then assign it to the detective bureau for follow-up. So if the CSO is taking a workable case, if we want him to start doing that, like a fraud case, the detective is going to be doing all the work. The CSO is just taking the initial statements and things like that. The detective will do a follow-up investigation much more thorough, if it's workable. If it's something like a lost cell phone report that the citizen just needs for insurance purposes, then there's no follow-up. It's just, the sheriffs don't go look for his phone. They'll just take the report and document it. And same thing with traffic collisions, there's no follow-up. It's just, it's up to the insurance companies at that point. But the CSO can do that rather than have a deputy tied up at a traffic scene for 90 minutes while the tow trucks are doing their work.
Okay, thank you for that. Councilman
Yes,
Taylor.
I had two questions. The cities that you mentioned, do they, can you tell me the number of CSOs they have?
I know the city of Bellflower has 17. They have only their full-timers do the report taking. The part-timers do parking, and they work in the substation. I know Cerritos, I think, has about 10. I think Norwalk has a very large program, but they actually have their guys doing some security level work. Some of them are armed, I believe, so that's not what we're looking to do. We're looking just to have an initial program, see how much work we can alleviate from the deputies so they can use their time for more valuable things, like patrolling and being more visible.
And the CSOs, they can issue citations also?
In those cities, we could give them that authority if we wanted to. Like I said, in the downtime, if there is any downtime, we could give them parking duties, things like that. But we want them to be available for calls as they come in. As Sean was saying, if we have, if there's a priority call and you're waiting for your lost cell phone report, you're going to be waiting quite a while because the deputies are going to be tied up on a more urgent need. But by having a CSO available, the CSO can take that right away. So any of the non-priority calls the CSO can handle. So he can, and there's only about a dozen different calls that they would actually take regularly, but they become quite efficient at it because they're taking the same reports over and over again. So oftentimes CSO work is actually, no offense to our deputies, but the reports are actually a little better because they're writing so much paper versus the deputies who might not have been trained on traffic, who might not have been trained on, or haven't written a lost cell phone report in a long time. The CSO is going to know it like the back of their hand because they've done so many. So those are some of the advantages.
And how would we be able to evaluate the effectiveness of this officer over the year or 2 years, let's say?
Well, we could total up all the other reports he's done, weigh that against the time that, how much time that would have taken deputies to do those same reports. As I said, in the past 6 months, there was 159 non-workable reports, but the CSO wouldn't be limited to non-workable if we want him to actually take, like, petty thefts, grand thefts, reports on felonies. Like I said, it's just an initial report. If the danger's already gone, we don't necessarily need to send an armed sheriff who's got all this training and who costs more than the CSO's hourly rate. The CSO, for instance, if a business owner comes into work the next day, finds out he's been robbed the night before, the threat's already gone, so there's no reason to send a deputy when we can send a civilian to take the report. It'll still be thorough, it'll still have all the same information. It'll still have to be signed off by a sergeant, so the sergeant's gonna make sure that all the information is correct, and then it'll go to the detective. So again, the business owner will still get the level of service that he would have gotten from a sheriff, but he won't be waiting as long, and deputies won't be tied up taking paper.
Okay, before I call on Councilwoman Suarez, I want to follow up on something you mentioned about citations. I think I'm hearing that they can do additional duties if we desire for them to do so. So I guess my question is, are those additional duties inherent in their position, or do we have to expressly authorize them to do so?
It would just depend on what we wanted them to do. I mean, the training they're going to get from the Sheriff's Department is going to be in report writing. They're going to learn how to use the radio. They're going to know the codes that the Sheriff's Department uses. They're going to know all the criminal codes. If we wanted them to, if there was downtime and we wanted them to do parking stuff, we could have them do that too. Having been a CSO at both Cerritos and Paramount and Bellflower, some cities had us writing parking tickets, others didn't. So Cerritos wasn't really big on parking tickets, so I never wrote a parking ticket my whole time with Cerritos.
But would they have to come back to this body to get express permission to do those? additional items.
Yeah, I mean, we could determine the parameters tonight if we decide to move forward with this program or as we go forth. But I don't imagine they'll have a lot of downtime to write tickets because they'll be going call to call to call.
Okay.
Because the sheriffs, we get that many calls.
Mayor, Council, just for clarification, this officer will be working directly for the city of Lawndale under the Municipal Service Department, so we can delegate any type of work, and we can include citation writing and parking enforcement as well, if you guys so desire.
Well, what I'm getting at, I want to make sure that initially they won't have the authority to write tickets. But if we want them to write the tickets, I need for them to come back here, for we can give them the express, permission to write tickets or to do anything additional, so that it's not out of control. That's what I'm getting at. I mean, I know we can set the parameters here, but I don't know if tonight we're ready to set the parameters and include the whole list of menu items that they can possibly do.
So part of the training that they will have will be PC 832, which gives them the laws of rest. That will give them the ability to write tickets if we want them doing that task. As I said, certain cities have.
Yeah, but I needed for them to come back here so we can give them permission to write tickets.
No problem, Mayor. We can do that if that's the desire of the council, mayor and council.
What do you guys think?
I don't know that we've gotten to
Mayor-
discussion part yet.
It seems to me that a job description will be necessary like it is for all other jobs. And so really tonight, the decision that the director's asking for is, do you want to move forward with the program and with funding the program? If you do, then they can begin a recruitment process and sort of dual track that with bringing back to you a job description with their proposal, and then if you need to modify it, you can modify it and have
Okay,
that be the job
okay,
description.
that's fine. Thank you for that clarification. Let's hear from the public.
You forgot.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's
Councilwoman
okay.
Suarez.
It wasn't a question, it was more of a little more background, because I am familiar with Norwalk's public safety, and they have a huge public safety department separate from the sheriff's. And from what I understand, a lot of cities have invested in that, knowing that just to beef up services, since we cannot hire more, their CSO officers, they have specifically designated to certain areas so that the public, whoever lives in those quadrants, and I think they call them quadrant officer or not, so they know the same person who to go to. They interact with the businesses and whatnot, so I'm very familiar with theirs. They even put out a newsletter and whatnot. I know theirs is very robust, and it would be helpful to look at how they operate, and I'm sure the other cities as well.
Okay, thank you for adding that. Yes, sir.
Good evening. I really wasn't that familiar with this job title before, but researching it, it is used widely by cities that have the sheriffs as their law enforcement, and also by a lot of cities that have their own agency, their own police department. It's used differently in different cities. Some of them use it more for parking direction and citations, and a lot of them do use them as how the city is proposing to use them tonight. Some of the things I've seen that result from the use of this is obviously faster handling of lower priority calls, enabling broader patrol work, enhancing community trust and visibility of law enforcement presence. One of the issues I think we've always heard is that we don't see the police on the street. Well, if they're writing reports, that's a good reason why. If they don't have to spend that time doing that in between some calls while this person is taking reports, they can be visible out on the streets patrolling. As far as cost effectiveness, I think the cost of this one person is about a third of what would be to hire an additional deputy. And listening to the use of this, you almost would want to consider hiring someone like this before you even considered additional deputies. So I think it's a very proactive thing that Lawndale should consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. I'm not sure, so they're going to wear a uniform for the city of Lawndale, but yet they're going to be doing duties for LASD? And then we're going to make them do stuff for Lawndale, so like they're doing double duties or something like that? for that much amount, like 2 different jobs or what have you? I'm not sure about that, but, and what kind of uniform will they be wearing and gear? But also, when you're talking about a cell phone, who cares? It's a cell phone. A cell phone can wait. I don't care how long, you have to wait or come to the station to do a cell phone report. I don't think I need a special person to write up a cell phone report for me. And is the public going to be receptive to somebody just coming, who are you? I want a deputy. You know what I'm saying? They might get some pushback and go, who are, what do you want? So I don't know. I'm not sure about all this either. I'd rather see another deputy assigned. So, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Evening again. I would encourage that this is a good thing. I mean, getting 2 or 3. Until the hiring freeze is over, we have to be thoughtful in how we can get our deputies how well we can use them. We are underutilizing them in that we have shackled them with responsibilities that, well, the government has. It's not the city of Lawndale, but this is something that is beyond our control. And so we as a city, we have to do something to say we want to take control back, give it to the citizens in a way, because this is an opportunity for the people to see the government really at work as opposed to the long arm of the law coming in, because people really want to be heard. And when they make a call in, they want to believe that somebody's handling it. And for this to come up in an official car, that's why we're getting a car. It's not just a little sedan pulling up, but an official car, them having a radio. I mean, they'll look official. And if we can do 1, and if this goes well, we might even look at doing 2. And we have 4 deputies. I don't know if we need 4 officers. Figure that out, but we need something. And unless you know something that the hiring freeze is going to be over next month and we'll be ready to go, and the academy's swelling with people ready to go. I mean, if you know this, then let's hold off. But if not, this is something that this will do nothing but help our deputies, because their hands are tied and they need the breathing room. And I mean, I've been by the scene of accidents where you're sitting there for 20 minutes waiting for the guy to show up, and the deputies are just standing there. They can't do anything until the cars are gone. So if we can get someone to take over these responsibilities, this will dramatically help them be present in the community and do things that will assist in the public good and not just be sitting writing reports. So that's from an individual as well as from the position of my church as well.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Now I can get into discussion. So when we were previously discussing the security contract, this is more what I was envisioning. The only question that I had was to the cost, because I was hoping we would go this direction instead of security, but also when these not minor, but I would say less egregious activities are taking place, is there a time of day that it's happening more than we could have this person or whatnot, those work hours for when it would be more advantageous?
Of course. So the bulk of reports are taken during the day. Like, people aren't really calling for a lost cell phone report in the middle of the night. So most everything's going to be business hours. So that's in talking with the sergeant and with the lieutenant. Those are the hours that we thought would be most effective. Monday through Friday shift, doing 8-hour shifts. But we can anything that would affect that the council would be pleased with would be workable.
I think that people call, though, because that's only when the hours that they know that it's open. But if you had those hours at a time, they could probably call a more accurate timing of when those things are occurring.
Well, I was going to say, so the sheriff's office never closes. It's 24 hours, so it's always every day of the year. So they can always call, but most people are sleeping. So most reports that the CSO would be taking would probably be during the daylight hours, because businesses are opening, discovering they've been broken into. People are getting ready for work and recognize they lost their cell phone. Car accidents are happening because people are on their way to work. So daylight hours are probably the premium time to where we get the most reports out of the CSO, but we could be open to any time.
And then the other thing is you have, if one is showing up, if there's a call and they're showing up to a business or a place, Are you only going to have them by themselves? Because I know the security, I think they tagged, or is it just one that?
No, we only have one security, and again, they're not going to be doing any kind of security role. I mean, they'll be in a uniform and they'll have a police radio, and the car would be outfitted with the police computer because they'll need that computer to do their work. But again, the CSO will know if the situation's elevating. If he's there to take a report and the person suddenly gets irate, he can just back away. He will have a radio that actually none of us have. This is the county radios. That's why it's fairly expensive. But that has immediate access to dispatch, and it does have an emergency trigger, so he can go on the patch and speak to all the officers at once and ask for backup if he needs it or assistance.
And then the only concern I have is I'm not sure, I think this is where the mayor was going, but I would like to see a job description or something outlining the duties. I think it's important for the public to know, this is exactly what this officer is going to be doing. I would like to know. I know with the security, there's been some questions about them doing activities that are not on the contract or that were not presented to us. And so to avoid that, I would like to see a job description outlining what this position, what can they do, what will their primary functions be doing and whatnot.
Of course, we can do that.
Okay, Cuevas.
I was wondering if we could have anyone from the sheriff department to speak about it so that we could get a little bit of the idea, because since they've worked with other cities, we could get a little bit of information.
Good evening, Council. So, as Ms. Suarez spoke about, Norwalk has this program. I actually started the program with their director, Ozzy Ramos, back in 1993. We started there together. So I actually started as a public safety officer for the city of Norwalk before I was a sheriff. That's how I started in law enforcement. And we started with 14, and now I went over there with Mr. Reyes to introduce him to Ozzy, to show him how Norwalk does theirs, and theirs is huge. As she says, they have 72 officers, so they have a huge program. And they have a homeless outreach program, and but it's 35 years in the making, so we're at baby steps. Mm-hmm. But what happens is the community service officer is a sheriff's term. It would actually be considered a public safety officer because they work for the city of Lawndale. They don't work for the sheriff's department. They'll be trained by us. So they'll have a sheriff's radio. They'll have constant communication with the sheriff's dispatch, and they'll have a sheriff's computer in the car. So they'll go to our sheriff training, get trained on the computer, get trained on the radio, and then they'll ride with a sheriff, deputy sheriff, for however long it takes till we feel they're adequate to be left by themselves because they don't have a weapon. So that's why we tend to like to have them working during daylight hours when it tends to be a little bit safer, so they're not out there at night unarmed in a uniform in a car where somebody might mistake them to be an actual police officer. But if they're in a situation with, like Mr. Reyes said, where they feel like their life's in danger, they could activate the patch, and deputies could be there within seconds, just like if I activated the patch. And they're there mostly to take, they're there to take non-workable, non-violent, non-emergent reports, or assist like at a traffic accident. When instead of having a deputy hold the scene for many, many hours, like the fatal we had on Marine, where you had deputies sitting there for 8 hours, not being able to be dispatched to cars because we're waiting for the coroner to respond, you held up 3 deputy sheriffs for 8 hours. They couldn't leave the scene because we have to stay there till the cars get moved and the person gets moved from the scene. We could replace them with a PSO.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, what is the pleasure of this body concerning this item?
Could I ask that we get this back on the agenda, but with the job description? I like to see it all as a whole before I go forward with budget amendments. Also, too, if any of the other cities could possibly do maybe a presentation on how their departments work, it would be helpful to see, how they started, how it's going now, how they measure effectiveness and whatnot. Because I know the staff got to talk to those departments, but we as council members didn't get to see some of that.
Yes, sir.
I also would like to see, I think Dina had a few questions, good questions, like of how the public is going to perceive these. So if you already have something in your mind or on paper that, an example of, I'd like to see that also, like, how are they going to, what uniform are they going to use? What vehicle, are they going to drive? Because some people in the city probably will have no respect for them. So I'd like to see what are we going to do to show them that that they're they're real and they're working for the city and they're working for our safety.
Of course. Yeah.
Lieutenant.
Mr. Talavera, I wanted to speak on that. That's another reason why they need to ride with the deputies for a couple of months, is for the public meets them for the first time, their contact, they will be with us. So the public's introduction will be when they're with the sheriffs, and they'll see them with us, interacting with us. They'll be in the car with us every day. They're gonna ride basically with a training officer until, it could be up to 6 months, until we feel like they're comfortable enough to be off on their own. So the whole introduction process will be, the public will get to see them with us. So they'll know they're working with the sheriffs. It won't like we're just gonna dump them out there and say, you're on your own.
Right. Okay, and I know what Bernadette was saying about quadrants and how there's one, I know this is our first one, so it can't be everywhere, but.
That's the goal eventually, to have
right.
enough, like she said, where we could have one for every quadrant. Right
least
now, we have
4.
4 quadrants for the city. It would be nice if we get to a point where we have one for each city, and at that point, the city would be very familiar, and you could have it on the city page, and that would be the ultimate goal.
And he will attend all the Coffee with the Cops.
He will be at every neighborhood watch, every coffee with the cop. He will be everywhere I will be.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
And that's all part of the introduction process, and that's why it's better to start slow. Like Mr. Ramos said to Mr. Reyes, is like, just baby steps, start slow. It took Norwalk 35 years to get to where they are now. You can't just jump into it.
Okay. Let's hear from Cuevas.
For the selection of the potential candidate, we will get the advice of the sheriff department also, or are we, not council, but is staff the one picking the candidate?
Well, staff is going to be doing the interviews, obviously, but we can always invite Sarge or Ricky to be part of the interview process as well. I was going to say, too, the people that apply for this position, having been the CSO for a long time, are always guys who are trying to become police officers. So it's always young guys just out of college that are looking to become cops. So they're doing everything right. They know what is expected of them once they get into the academy. So they're very much about looking professional and being efficient for the deputies, because that's going to be recommendations for when they get into the academy. So. And as far as the concern about, as you were concerned with how their perception will be, they will be writing with the sheriffs for quite a bit, and the sheriffs will have them writing the paper initially before they're on their own. So.
And uniform would be city uniform, or are they wearing something different that says?
It wouldn't look like a police uniform. We don't want that. We don't want them to. So, but just in my experience, we would wear polos and the 511s. Which are kind of what paramedics wear. But it could be more formal than that. We could have button-up shirts if we wanted to do that way, so they look professional. That's either way is an option. But we don't want them to look like police officers, because we don't want them mistaken for police officers. Because, as the lieutenant said, they're not armed, they're not trained in anything like that. But they are going to be wise enough to know when the situation is going south and they can get away from it.
Okay, let me ask the city manager his thoughts on holding this over until we get the job description, and possibly, like the councilwoman was saying, a presentation from a city that has a similar program.
Mr. Mayor, Council, if that's the desire and direction of the council, we can do that. We can ask the lieutenant to bring down Ozzy. I know I've heard a lot about him, so I look forward to meeting him, so we can have him come down and talk about that World Best program. And then meanwhile, I can work with Ray Latt, and we can get that job description with Mr. Reyes and have that as well, and bring it back as a package.
Okay, I think that's what we should do. Okay. Without any objection, that would be the order, that we'll bring this back for a future session. Thank you for the presentation. Let's move to item 8, Independence Day Celebration 2026.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jason Menor, Community Services Director. This staff report was asked for to begin the discussion about potential Independence Day celebrations. The two main topics listed in the report are the consideration of either fireworks or drones. The second one would be potential locations in which we would be required to work with our partners at the Centinela Valley Union High School District or the Lawndale Elementary School District. With that, there's just a couple of points in the staff report that I hope you're able to look at, but other than that, staff are here to answer questions or take direction.
Any discussion on this item? I guess we should decide if we're interested in having a 4th of July celebration.
I am, but I would like to see if we could put a committee together so that they could work on numbers, maybe talk to the school district and see where, if we're able to use St. Adams or Rogers, where we could have this before we, continue. But I'm interested in seeing if we could do an event here.
Okay.
I agree.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, we got two, one that's interested, but they want to do a committee.
That's perfectly fine. I would just say we probably want to give the public a chance to speak first, and then if the desire of the mayor and the council is to do an ad hoc subcommittee, please go ahead and move that forward.
Is that the one that don't have to be noticed?
No notice, yes.
Okay, yeah. Good. Are there any wishing to speak on this item?
Good evening again. One of the things to be aware of is that Centinela Valley has gone turf. So putting aerials, before when we had done some things over Lusinger, we had dirt and grass fields. That is most likely not the case unless you can find a company willing to do something and have the safeguards over turf. So we would be looking specifically at one of our elementary schools as far as the launch site or where the aerials would be taken off as potential landing zones as well. So as we're looking at the different site locations, we would then need to see comparatively where the fallout would be, the fallout zones. Obviously, professionals would have things lined appropriately, but understand that by going turf, they no longer are the amphitheaters, the bleachers, all that stuff is not there like it was at Lusinger High School when they would have it off at the auxiliary field and everyone got to sit there. So we would need to either be looking at blankets and things, or we would look at renting bleachers. And obviously, these would be things to think of down the line, but location may even be Alondra Park, but that is LA County, so they may have their own issues. However, we see things like Redondo Beach that are a no fireworks city. They'll sometimes have a display, or Torrance, or so as far as a community or a city letting off fireworks is for a professional show being done, and it's someone else coming to take the liability of that, because that's why you pay them to do these things, because then they run with the insurance waivers and other things. So that if they have these, then perhaps Alondra Park might even be a viable option once they fill out that containment basin that they're building over there. But just as far as venues, the high schools with the large seating areas are not really the way to go, just for an informational purpose.
Thank you for that.
Might as well, no, but if we could put a committee
I think we'll put the
together.
committee together. We can work
Let's
out
put a
those
committee
details.
together and then.
Yeah.
The selection of the site would be the most critical, keeping in mind, that there are certain requirements that are non-negotiable based on fire code. It would have to be a very large section of street or a very small firework.
That's why if we could put a committee together, then
Yeah.
that could be the discussion,
We can work
and
out-
they could come back and say, we come up with a conclusion that we can't have it or something.
Well, let me ask the city attorney, are we able to put together the committee tonight, even though it's not on the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, if we could wait until Pat is here, just in.
Oh, yeah, that'd be fine. Yeah, but let me see what.
Yeah, I was going to say yes, because the recommendation was that the council provide direction, so that would have been fine, but if you'd like to wait, that's fine as well.
Is that the consensus?
Well, I guess, is anybody here interested?
Well, I'm interested in being part of it. That's why I brought it up. But
Well, I'm interested too. I think when we went to Contract Cities, Freedom Fireworks gave us a wonderful display. It was just a short little display, like 30 minutes, but it was good. I mean, it was like the finale. It didn't start off with little things and then build up. It was just one good finale, and it was beautiful. It was in a reduced spot. It was outside of the hotel in Riverside or Palm Springs, where there's no fireworks allowed either, but they got the permit somehow, but the show was spectacular, even for the time that it was there. So, and you know, I know with technology and everything, you have the drones, but even that doesn't take the place of having authentic and actual fireworks. So I would be willing to work on this committee and help out also.
So let's form the committee tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the committee can then bring back a report to be adopted or modified or whatever.
Can we do consensus, or do we have to take a vote?
Consensus is the way to go.
Okay, so let's have Cuevas and Suarez on the committee, in Tel Aviv.
No.
Thank you for that report.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Mr. Reyes, will you provide an update on the meeting tomorrow for the planning and MSD, please?
Yes, tomorrow at 6 o'clock, we will be hosting a code enforcement workshop along with a community development workshop. Peter and I will be putting that on. We both have presentations. It starts at 6 o'clock at the Hoffman Community Center. We anticipate it'll last about an hour, but the public is welcome to come, and we can answer any questions that people have about either code enforcement or community development. Or in fact, for that matter, municipal services, not just code enforcement.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes the city manager's report. Thank you, Ms. Mayor.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's have items from council members. Item 9 is a Plant a Tree Memorial Program for youth. Let's have the staff report.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. At the June 16th, 2025 City Council meeting, Mayor Robert Poulin requested us staff to look into a tree dedication program to celebrate the life of youth that passed away. Staff researched old files and found an old program called Dedicate a Living Tree Program to commemorate all type of events. This program appears to have been used only once in September of 1998 for the purpose of youth that had passed away. The program included a memorial plaque, a certificate of acknowledgement, and of course the tree. The costs in 1998, which is still present on the program application, it is $125 per tree. Our current fees are planting a tree is $550 by our landscaping contractor, and the plaque is in the vicinity of $450. So staff is proposing if council is interested in moving forward with the program, the fees need to be at $1,000. If the applicant is the one that's going to pay for the program.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's basically the report. If we don't have more information of who this applicant may be currently, but if anybody knows, please forward them to my office, and I can educate them on the program and that. We are planning to, should there be an applicant, to let them choose the site, make sure it can take more trees and such, and that's for now. I suggest for future creating, if council would like to move forward, creating a program, updating this program to say these are the available sites, make sure there's room before we advertise it, so that it's a successful program. And for that, I will come forward to council again with ideas for the future.
Okay. Thank you for the report. Let's hear from Cuevas.
My question was, where would that tree go? Because let's say they want right in front of City Hall, but then everybody wants in front of City Hall, so we'll have 10 trees there. So are we thinking maybe Hawthorne Boulevard, or is there a particular area you guys recommend or that you recommend?
It is an excellent question because the tree that was planted in 1998, it was planted at Jane Addams Park. It is still there with the plaque. However, that was, at the time, it was a large place with room for trees. Being that this is a dedication tree, I see it only happening in parks, not necessarily on Hawthorne Boulevard, because at some point somebody's going to stop by to do something there, to celebrate the life or whatever. In the other city I was part of recently, one of these programs was established. I should say it was revised actually, and staff went throughout the parks and found the locations. Actually, the Planning Commission is the one that found locations for this and said, okay, there's only certain availability for this. Therefore, we don't want a forest necessarily at a park or a cemetery either. So it's up to council to provide direction if we want to look farther into this or make it a one-time now and don't have the program anymore. I'm open for suggestions.
I think that we should find the parks or where we're going to be putting it before we say yes to whoever wants the dedication. I'm all for this. It's a great idea, but we need to designate the parks that we're going to put it or the area before we grant this. And my second question is, who maintains the plaque? Because the plaques, you know, they get dirty, they have grass all over, so does the gardeners maintain it? And I don't want it to be a cemetery, so I don't want people to take flowers on the day of their memorial or things like that. So do we have anything written that has a guideline of what we have to do?
I did not find any guidelines. The staff report has the application that was available in 1998. I 100% agree that we need guidelines in order to make it a program that's sustainable and such. The plaque, for example, sometimes these things get vandalized, so we need guidelines to say who pays for the replacement, etc. So if you allow me a month or so, I can come back with guidelines, suggestions, what's available out there at the parks. And then that's my current suggestion. It seems that we need to have some more thought into the new program.
Okay. You good? Televere.
Yeah, I like the ideal too. I think it falls in alignment with what we had suggested before of some type of benevolent and recognition of residents, Lawndale residents that have passed. And I would like to see maybe if there was a way that maybe we could work this into the new youth development center that we're planning to have, and honor those young people that passed to have those trees planted there. I don't know how long off yet the center is going to be constructed, but I think if we take a look at it, we can map out some spaces there and use that. What a better way to honor the passing of a young person than have a tree dedicated to them, at the Youth Development Center.
Somebody, and I don't recall where I heard, what about a wall, sort of similar to Veterans Wall, but the youth center will be ideal if there's interest for that. I can bring it as an idea on the next report.
There's also, too, like if we're thinking, how some establishments, they put like on the ground a stone, a tile or something, so that's also an option too.
Yeah.
And then you could maybe, as a symbol, have one tree and then near there, the names or whatnot.
That's an idea. Yeah, thanks for the input, everyone. Great suggestions. So a resident approached me about this a while ago. I don't recall her name, but she mentioned that her child passed away. And she mentioned another city that had a similar program, and she wanted to know if we can do a program. So I said, that's interesting. So that's why I asked staff to look into it. But I take the ideals, I want to incorporate those in the program. Should we adopt it? The program, and you're going to work it out. You're going to bring this back in a month. And you have like locations. Now, sure. I do like the ideal of having one tree, and then if you want to put your stone or your little plaque on it to signify your loved one who passed away, your child or what have you passed away. I do like that. I'm kind of concerned though about it turning into a cemetery. Mm-hmm. That's the part I didn't vision that, right? And so in your guidelines, if you can put something to the effect that our flowers or whatever, I don't know if we want to abandon them or not. I think so, because if you if you say if you allow them, then it can have the potential to turn into what looks like a memorial site, right? A cemetery of some sort. So work that into your guidelines as well to clarify that we don't want this to look like, whether it's one tree or several trees, we don't want this to look like a cemetery. But I want you to incorporate those suggestions in your report, though. And you say you need a month? About a month?
Yeah,
okay.
two council meetings.
Okay.
Maybe sooner, no? Would you like to see it soon?
A month is fine. I mean, whatever.
A month is December.
I mean,
Mayor, council, we'll work with Lucho to get the guidelines. We have them, other cities have them. It's not that hard to put them together.
Yes, it's not an emergency, is what I'm
Yeah,
getting-
well, we can bring
what
it
I'm
back
getting
at a reasonable time for you.
You have until December, how's that?
Yeah.
Sure, of course. Yeah.
That's a month.
He said, sure.
I was just saying two meetings, basically.
Yeah.
It's a-
Okay.
It's December.
Excellent.
Okay.
We'll do it in December.
All right. Thank you for putting this on the agenda. Let's move our agenda on item 10, reports of attendance at meetings. Councilman Televier.
Okay. I just wanted to say, I attended the Hispanic Heritage Fiesta that was held at Lawndale High School on Saturday, October 11th. I wanted to thank Ed Lopez from South Bay Social Network for organizing the event, and the co-sponsor, Sergio Caldera, who incidentally was, his brothers were former students when I worked in Lenox. So when I saw his face, I knew the family. So it was good to see them again. And the brother that I had in class is now 50 years old. So I want to thank them for making this event happen. I also want to thank the community for coming out and supporting the event, and all the awesome vendors and community organizations that tabled the event. It was great. I'm trying not to put a number of people that went there because they'll probably say I inflated the numbers, but I was pleased with those that went and saw a lot of happy faces, and we had good support from the surrounding communities. I know there was people from Torrance and from Carson there. Also, I attended the Hawthorne-Lawndale Ministerial Association meeting on Thursday, October 16th, and happy to share that both the cities and the churches are gearing up for the holiday season celebrations and moving forward to help those that are less fortunate. And I attended which I thought was a birthday party for one of the senior citizens, and it turned out to be a pre-Halloween party. So I went there taking a gift wrapped in a birthday present, and she said, it's not my birthday. Well, you said it was your party. She says, so I was happy to be there and got to meet her family, and whenever we have a chance to interact with our residents, with the people of Lawndale, they're really happy. So I'm glad that I was able to attend there, and that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Suarez, Councilwoman Suarez.
Thank you. I didn't attend the league conference, but I did have a chance to meet with, because I currently chair the South Bay Cities Council of Government, so I was able to meet the other executive members from the other COGs in the area, and so that was very interesting. They're looking to kind of create some kind of coalition so that issues that the regional COGs face, that we can kind of collaborate and come together. Some of them, which I mentioned, was Measure A, the Board of Supervisor expansion, and kind of trying to shape the way that's formed. And then I also had a steering committee for the South Bay Cities Council of Government and a board meeting this Thursday. And that's all I had.
Cuevas.
August 8th through the 10th, I was in Long Beach at the Leagues of California Cities Conference. It was a long 2.5 days, but got to speak to several cities, council members from different cities, get ideas, and bring it back to staff on what we could do to benefit our residents. It was very interesting, a lot of speakers, and the one in particular that I would like to see possibly is short-term rentals in Lawndale. I know we have several of them, and they're not paying occupancy tax, so if we're going to allow short-term rentals, we need to go after them and try to collect occupancy tax. There's an app that we could, I'll get the information, there's a software that will pinpoint which properties are the short-term rental properties. I got to see a model, and we have several homes right now that are renting either a room or they're renting their own property for under 30 days. So I will get more information to you, Michael. Um, I also attended the Hispanic Heritage Festival or Fiesta. Well attended. I really enjoyed it. My original thing was to be there for about an hour. I think I ended up being there almost 3 hours. But music was nice. The dancers, the indigenous dancers, was great at the beginning. It turned out to be a nice event. Hopefully next year we could have it here in Lawndale and be part of the event. One last thing, reminder, Halloween hunt event in 2 weeks on the 31st from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. here at the community outside City Hall. Jason has been working very hard on this, so we all need to come. And council members, wear your costumes.
All right, thank you for that report. Okay, I too attended the Hispanic Heritage Festival right on the campus of the Lawndale High School. Great job putting that on, Councilmember Talavera. It was excellent. The indigenous dancers, that was awesome to see. That ceremonial portion, that was awesome to see. I did have lunch with the seniors. I also attended several receptions at the League of California Cities conference. The date was given by Councilwoman Cuevas. And it seemed like I had another thing I did. Oh, well, I didn't write it down, so it don't count, huh?
Yes, not.
Okay, all right, that's all I have. Okay, so we'll move our agenda. We'll go to closed session at this point. Let's hear from our legal counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. City Council will go into closed session for 2 items under Government Code Section 54956.9D4. Each of those is consideration of whether to initiate litigation. So it's 2 separate cases. I will join you for the first one. The second is the one that you've discussed before that I have to recuse from, and so I will, for the good of the public, I will come out and special counsel will go in for that second item. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we're back in session. Is the city attorney or city manager?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will report on the first item, and then we're going to have, I believe, special counsel will report on the second. As to the first item, there was unanimous direction of the council members here tonight to initiate litigation by joining the amicus brief being filed with the United States Supreme Court on behalf of cities in the Huntington Beach versus Newsom matter that is currently pending. The city manager will reach out to the attorneys in that case tomorrow and let them know that the city is joining that brief. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
turn it over.
Let's hear from our special counsel.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. The council met and mayor met in closed session. Mayor Pro Tem Pat Kearney participated in a closed session telephonically. The council voted unanimously to permit him to participate in the closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54953. And so he participated and voted. The issue that was discussed was the city's position and potential for litigation related to the Sea Line Extension project. And the question before the city council was whether or not the city council wanted to engage in joint representation with City of Redondo Beach with a single council representing them in those efforts. And the council voted 3-2 to choose not to pursue joint representation of both Lawndale and City of Redondo Beach, and that City of Lawndale would continue with its own council with regard to its efforts on the Sea Line Extension project. And again, the vote was 3-2 with council members Suarez and Cuevas voting no.
Thank you for that report. Okay, it's time to adjourn. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Lawndale City Council will be held at 6:30 p.m. Monday, November 3rd, 2025, in these here chambers. We are now adjourned. It is 8:42.